This will be for the con exercise, scale functions horizontally. All right, so we're going to let k be a constant, and we're going to multiply just the x term times k. All right, so this is f of k times x. If k is greater than 1, the graph is horizontally compressed. And if k is between 0 and 1, the graph is horizontally stretched. All right, I don't think we're going to get into negative versions of k, so I just use those two cases alone. All right, it says f of x equals log base 8 of x plus 4 plus 3. And g is a horizontally scaled version of f. F is solid and g is dashed. Okay, we can see f here in blue and g is the dashed line in pink. What is the equation of g? All right, I'm going to try to get my answer before I choose the multiple choices. All right, so since g is the new function, and they said on the bottom, what's the equation of g? We want to know g of x equals f times k, f of k times x. Okay, we want to know what we did to the f function in order to get the g function. Now, if you look at these dots right here, both of them are at the same y coordinate of 4. Okay, so we don't need to worry about that y coordinate. But we can trace these down. All right. F is the one in blue. That's the original. If we trace this down to the x-axis, x equals 4. Okay, so this point here on the f function is going to be f of 4. All right, I'm going to write that underneath this here. And then on the g function, which is the one in pink, this one here, the x coordinate is just 1. Okay, so this point right here is g of 1. All right, so I'm going to write that underneath right here. All right, and that makes sense. G of 1 is the y coordinate at x equals 1. F of 4 is the y coordinate at x equals 4. We can see the y coordinate is equal for both of them. So g of 1 equals f of 4, and now we can plug in. We know that x equals 1 and k times x equals 4. All right, so k times x equals 4. And we said x is 1, so that's just going to be k times 1 equals 4. Okay, so clearly from this we see that k equals 4. Now, did we necessarily need to do all that? Some of you can do it in your head. All right. We can clearly see these are at the same y coordinate, but the f function is the g function multiplied by 4. We can clearly see that. All right, we said g of x equals f of 4x, or 4 times x. So we have to take the f function. In order to get the g function, we have to take the f function and just multiply the x times 4. All right, so this is the only x right here. We just multiply that times 4. So g of x is going to equal log base 8. And the x gets multiplied by 4. So it's going to be 4x plus 4. And then plus 3. That's it. All right. Please don't distribute the 4 to both terms. If you multiply this by 4, that is going to shift the function left or right. Okay, that's not what we want to do. So this right here is the final answer. All right, g of x equals log base 8. 4x plus 4 plus 3. All right, that's it right there. Answer A. All right, this is the graph of function f of x equals log base 3 of x right here. What is the graph of g of x equals log base 3 of x over 3? All right, so this is f of x and this is g of x. Some of this you can do in your head. How do we get from x to x divided by 3? We just multiplied it by 1/3. All right, so really, g of x, it's the same as f of x times 1/3, or you can just say f of 1/3 times x. All right, if you took the f function and multiplied the x times 1/3, you would get x over 3. So g of x is the same as f of 1/3 times x. Now, at x equals 0, see this right here? I'm sorry, I meant to say x equals 1. This is 1 on the x-axis. All right, so this is the f function. Right here is f of 1. Okay, and we can see that 1/3 times x equals 1. 1/3 times x equals 1. How do you solve for x? Well, you just multiply both sides by 3. Cancels here, and x is going to be 1 times 3, which is just 3. All right, so if x equals 3, then g of x is going to be g of 3. All right, so g of 3 equals f of 1. All right, and then I will do the other point. Again, this is the f function, and this is at x equals 3. So f of 3 is going to equal g of something. All right, and again, we're just going to match it up. 1/3 times x equals 3. All right, 1/3 times x equals 3. And how do you solve for x? You just multiply both sides by 3. And the 3's cancel. X equals 9. All right, so g of 9 is going to equal f of 3. All right, so the g function, at f of 1, g is going to be 3. So right here, the g function is going to be at 3. And instead of f of 3, it's going to be g of 9. So this is f of 3. The g of 9 is going to be right there. So the g function, I'm not even worried about this part down here too much, just these 2 points. The g function is going to be like that. Okay, so it passes through those points. All right, if you want to use a little shortcut, instead of doing it point by point, since f of 1/3 times x equals g of x, you can just multiply inside the parentheses both of these by 3, and you can just say g of 3x is going to equal f of x. That doesn't work. You can say g of 3x equals f of x. So you just take the x value of each of the points on f and multiply each one by 3. That's all. Anyhow, it passes through 3 on the x-axis, and it passes through 9 at y equals 1. Let's check it out. All right, right here, it passes through 3 on the x-axis and passes through x equals 9 at y equals 1. That's it. You can double check the other answers if you want, but I can clearly see it's answer A.